I will go ahead and turn the floor over to Mr. Dan Bennett. Dan is our GACD board member emeritus, and he will be starting the program with an invocation.
All right, thank you, Katie. Let's spend just a minute with our Lord. Lord, we just thank you for opportunities that you give us in this fine organization. Lord, there are many concerns that we have these days in the world with world peace and so many things, Lord. But you've given us so many resources that we have volunteered to take care of. And we just pray we'll do that in a way that pleases you. We pray that your blessings will be on this meeting, every part of it. I ask this in your name, amen.
All right, now we would ask Mr. Ted Hughes, who is GACD's Group 2 Vice President, to give our introduction.
Thank you, Katie and Dan. And I want to welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us virtually. These virtual meetings is tough on me. It's been a tough couple of years, and hugs and handshakes are necessary when you're meeting old friends and greeting and making new friends. So anyhow, we're going to try to get all back together when this thing's over with. I'd like to take a moment here to recognize our partners that have joined us today. Our Agriculture Commissioner Gary Black will be with us, and ACD Southern Representative Candice Abinati will be with us. The Georgia Soil and Water Conservation Commission is represented by Director Mitch Attaway. The NRCS State Conservationist Tansel Hudson is here. Our State Conservationist Terrence Rudolph is not able to join us today due to a loss in his family, and I hope that we'd all be in prayer for his family and keep him in mind. Also, Senator Tyler Harper is joining us, and he's chair of the Senate Natural Resources Conservation Committee, and he's been a partner of GACD for many years. We thank you for being here today, Senator, and we welcome you. And we'd like for you to say a few words now, if you'd like.
Hey, Mr. Hughes, thank you very much for that introduction. It is good to be with all of y'all. First off, thank you for the opportunity to join you this morning. I just want to tell you how much I appreciate the work that our conservation districts do across our state, the important role that you all play. As you said, I've been honored to chair the Natural Resources Committee, Natural Resources and Environment Committee in the Senate. I've been in that role now for a little over 3 years, and have been on the Natural Resources Committee almost my entire 10 years in the state Senate. And through that, we've been able to have a working relationship, a partnership in addressing the issues in relation to our natural resources and the work that you do on a daily basis in the conservation district. So thank you for the work that you do. And it's a lot of that work that has allowed us to be successful in a lot of ways. I know with the Supreme Court ruling in regards to the water wars case in the state of Georgia. And I know that there were some things that have happened over about the last 15 or 20 years, and some legislation that's passed and some decisions that have been made and had to have been made, and even over the last 5 or 7 years. But because of our work together and your steadfastness and your willingness to help us through that, and the ability for us to push through that together, we were successful. And I want to tell you, it was a lot to do with the agriculture community being willing to step up, the natural resources community being willing to step up, and the work of our Soil and Water Conservation Commission and our conservation districts around the state. That if it wasn't for all of you being willing for us to work together, we would not have been as successful. And just recently, there was another ruling by a federal judge, as you probably are all aware, that basically reaffirmed Georgia's position in the water wars and the ongoing water wars, and we won that case, basically won that case as well, and for a lot of the same reasons. So I think with all of that combined, I just want to tell you thank you for what you do. It makes our jobs a lot easier on the state level, on the legislative level, when we're working to address issues with the partnership that we have with you. And I just want to hope that we continue that partnership. I look forward to continuing to work with you to address issues that are important to our state. And I just want you to know that look, I'm here. Use me as a resource. Please reach out to me if I can be of any assistance at any time. I'd be happy to continue our work together and addressing the issues that are important to our state, because especially when we get to talking about water, there's going to be a lot of conversations about water coming up in light of a lot of these rulings, and ensuring that we're doing that in the right way. But look, thank you for your service to our state. Thank you for the roles that you play in your communities. It does not go unnoticed. We appreciate all of you. It's good to be with you today. I look forward to hearing the updates from all the partners, but thank y'all for what you do. And Mark, your president, Mark, I appreciate the work you're doing on the state level and the partnerships that in the work we've done together and the conversations we've had about a lot of these issues, and appreciate that. And I know Katie does y'all a good job too. So we see her quite a bit at the Capitol. But thank y'all for what you do on a day-to-day basis. Look forward to our work together. Glad to be with you this morning. Mr. Hughes, thank you again for the opportunity to say a few words, but God bless you all. Look forward to anything we can do together. And again, if I can ever be of assistance, feel free to reach out.
Thank you, Senator. We appreciate everything you do and all of our elected officials. We got to work together to make things work, and we need to get excited about what we're doing. I guess that about winds it up. I want to thank everybody that's joined us for this meeting virtually, and all the people who are here to talk to us. And I'm going to turn it back over now to President Mark Masters. Mark, thank you so much for the opportunity you give us to serve.
Well, thank you, Vice President Hughes. Appreciate that, and for kicking us off. Senator, thank you again for being here and for your comments. Yeah, I see a lot of familiar faces on the screen. I see a lot of familiar names. I was very much hoping to be in Watkinsville this morning, shaking hands and seeing y'all in person. There's still quite a few folks around that I haven't been able to meet face to face, and really looking forward to doing that. But appreciate everybody being willing to adapt and get together this morning, albeit virtually. And so a word we've heard a lot already is, partners, and certainly GACD has a lot of them, and a lot of very good ones that help us do a lot of good work around the state. And I'm proud to serve as your president and have since January, and being able to meet a good number of folks around the state with these other organizations that help JCD, do what we do. And so we're going to hear from some of those now. We've got Commissioner Gary Black from the Department of Agriculture. He's en route doing the business of the commission, and he's joining us from somewhere on an interstate or maybe a back road somewhere. Commissioner, thank you for being here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mark. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for the opportunity also. And it's good to see y'all. We're all getting back more face to face, but I'm glad we could be together today. We're heading down to, I think, another good conservation celebration this morning down at Bart Davis's place. He's been working with some of the Quail Unlimited folks and different. I think there's several different groups with respect to just a property that he's actually winning a national award today. We'll go down and celebrate with him down in Durham. So really looking forward to that. A couple of things. I'll be quick, Mark. I too am very delighted with the rulings that we've had with respect to water. One thing I would caution us, and we did so even when the special master sided with us, but with exceptions 2 or 3 years ago. Whole issue with our water wars that we should be always concerned about, I think, is this is no time to go into the end zone and spike the football and cut a backflip and we won. Certainly is. I'm glad we got the votes that we needed in the court, but our work's not done, and GACD's work has never been done. If we ever get where we think we've arrived, then we're on the backside of that curve. We're always pressing. We're always going forward, always climbing. We still have a huge water conservation message to carry out. Still lots more practices. It doesn't mean that we can just return to just because we got a couple of court rulings. That's one thing I've always been cautious about, honestly, in these things. We're glad we make progress. The senator's absolutely right. And a lot of people work very hard. We've had passionate advocates for us in the legal proceedings, but now it still kind of comes back on us. We just don't put an exclamation point and all of this is over. Our work, in some ways, is just beginning again. We're a growing state. There's 11 million people, and we'll continue to grow. And the competition for those finite resources is going to be more fierce than ever, and we're going to have to be more responsible than ever. And so that's why the mission of the districts is more important than ever, in my opinion. I left Commerce pretty early this morning. We're somewhere above Forsyth right now, I think. I was telling Charlie, we have so many. I feel like Jackson County's become what is the Minnesota or Wisconsin? Who's the land of 1,000 lakes? I can't remember which state that is, but with Jackson County, we've become the land of 1,000 retention ponds because of development and expansion of distribution. Distribution center haven, but there's a big responsibility there in your work. But also we're going to continue to remain relevant in our communities. What's allowed you to do that, I commend you every time we get together. Thank you for all the hard work you've done on feral hog control, and my understanding is that continues to grow, and the interest within district to district, committing those resources. I still say the number one evil facing soil and water conservation district, soil and water conservation issues in Georgia.
Hey, Commissioner, we've lost you momentarily. You froze up on us. If we lose you, all right. I believe our commissioner hit one of those spots above Forsyth where the service isn't quite as good. You back with us, Commissioner? All right. We've lost the signal, but I appreciate Commissioner Black being on and for all the support he's given GACD, and he was touching on a number of our projects, not the least of which is the feral swine initiative, and we're going to hear more about that in just a few minutes. If he's able to join us back, we'll circle back around. But want to move ahead now to our NRCS update from our partner. We've got Tansel Hudson with us, and as Mr. Hughes mentioned, we're sad that our state con couldn't be with us this morning. Hey, Commissioner, I see you back right quick.
Mark,
yeah.
Mark, we jumped back, and I'm sorry about that, y'all. This is the danger of all this stuff. But just let me, if I can have 90 more seconds. But,
yes, sir.
I'd appreciate it. But thank y'all again. Put the exclamation point on the wild hog stuff. That y'all have really done a wonderful thing, and it's been wonderful. We're glad we could partner with you on that, and our other federal supporters too. We just got to keep that pressure that's part of our ongoing task also. We finished a meeting yesterday, had our August board meeting, Georgia Development Authority. And I know another, just an broader agriculture issue to bring before you. We were successful in pulling out about $7.8 million of money that was left over from Hurricane Michael that the state put with the Development Authority to help with forest land cleanup. And that we finished that. We wound up, if I recall correctly,
Hey, Commissioner, we've lost you again. Hey, hey, Katie or Matt, if we could circle back with Commissioner offline and maybe get him in on just a direct cell where he can finish up. We do need to jump ahead. So Tansel's with us from NRCS, and as Ted mentioned, we're sad that Tansel's gonna be with us. Had a loss in his family, but Tansel, we certainly appreciate you being here and all your support of GACD, and you're up to share an NRCS update.
All right, very good. Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Mr. Hughes, for allowing me some time to present. As everyone mentioned, I did send Katie some details regarding Mr. Rudolph's loss, so maybe she'll send those out later. Just jumping right in, as always, we're mindful of COVID and what's going on in that arena. We have a lot of offices currently at 50%. There's guidance being presented frequently in areas where there is a significant COVID case load. Our offices have been reduced to 25% employees. Currently, that number is up to 20 counties. So just be mindful of that. And in those counties, there are no visitors. A little bit on the staffing front. We, as y'all know and have heard many times, we're continuing to try to bring on more people. We're currently slightly around 240 employees, full-time employees. We still have a little bit of room to go if we can find qualified applicants. We continue to post positions on USA Jobs. So if you know if anyone's actively looking to join the team, please direct them there. We did have quite a few summer interns this summer. As many of you know, school's back in session, so they have departed for the summer. Just a little round robin, so to speak, of what's going on. You know, our engineering staff continues to work with the commission closely on a lot of our watershed structures. There's been a lot of activity in that area over the last few years. I think we're becoming more and more aware of it. Talked to Justin yesterday, and I think there's a final walkthrough on one of the Palmetto sites this week. Technical services team continues to try to work with our employees and staff to accomplish the planner certification. It's been an ongoing effort for several years, but our employees are supposed to be certified planners by the end of this calendar year. So we'll be focusing on that quite a bit in the next quarter. Natural resources inventory, it doesn't get talked about a whole lot, but really important. It's there's points all over the state that have been identified, and we're given a set of points each year to where we go out and see what the current land use is. And this data is used for a lot of funding decisions at the national level. The NRI points in North Georgia have been completed, and we will be working on the ones in South Georgia in the next few weeks. So good work there. Lastly, we talk about Farm Bill a lot, but the Farm Bill programs can't be planned and contracted and implemented without good conservation planning. So sometimes I think that gets overlooked because everybody wants to know what kind of funds are coming into the state of Georgia. So this year we received $42 million for our environmental quality incentive program. That's a lot of money. We were able to obligate 99% of that currently. So in most of our programs, we have, I don't know what you call it, but we've had a really good year in the obligation piece. A lot of years we were struggling right through September to get funds obligated, but to be that high obligated at this point in the year is a welcome relief for our staff for sure. Also, the state of Georgia was one of 10 states selected to pilot a climate change initiative. It's to support smart agriculture and forestry with the hopes of implementing and planning practices that will sequester, carbon, reduce greenhouse gases and emissions, and mitigate the impacts of climate change. So we're kind of getting a heads up on that. As we've been told, that climate change initiative will be offered nationwide next year. So us and 9 other states are piloting that for headquarters currently. On the conservation security program, we had about $18 million allocated this year. We're about 90% obligated on that. I was told to let everyone know that the GCI letters have been sent to eligible producers. And a little bit looking forward to FY22, we will probably announce signups for EQIP, ASEP, and RCPP in October, and CSP signup information will probably come out in the second quarter. So that's just a little brief snapshot of what's going on in the NRCS world, and we'll just keep after it. And if you have questions later, I'll try to answer those at the appointed time. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for being on and for the update. Yeah, and just to circle back, and we'll remind folks a couple of times throughout the call today, if you have questions or need a clarification on something that you've heard, go ahead and drop that in the chat box, and we'll make sure that we circle back to our presenters and get you the answers either on the call or shortly after. So thank you, Tansel, for being on. So I see Candice Abinati is here. She is a good friend of mine working for NACD, representing the Southeast, and she's going to give us an update from a national perspective at NACD. So Candice, welcome, and thank you for being here this morning.
Okay, well, great. Thank you very much, Mark. And I apologize. I keep getting a little pop-up saying my internet connection is a bit unstable this morning. So hopefully I come through without too many hiccups. But yeah, good morning, Group 2. I'm Candice Abinati, NACD Southeast Region Representative. I serve the 11 states and territories of the Southeast. And a big thank you to GACD and Georgia's districts for your support of NACD and this opportunity to be part of the Group 2 meeting today. I was looking forward to meeting in person too and participating virtually. So glad to have you all joining me virtually today. But for those who may be new or a bit unfamiliar with NACD's mission, we promote the wise and responsible use of natural resources for all lands by representing locally led conservation districts and their associations through grassroots advocacy, education, and partnerships. And we were established in 1946, which means we celebrated our 75th anniversary. Just this year, July 25th in Chicago, we had a great celebration. And I'm going to bring up a screen share here because I wanted to share with you all this photo. We were able to gather 12 of our past NACD presidents in Chicago in July. And I especially kind of wanted to flag John Redding here and thank John. I don't think he's on today, but I know he's well known in Area 2. And I just wanted to thank him for serving as president of NACD back in 2008 and 2009. And also for his continued engagement in NACD and his current leadership on the National Conservation Foundation. So a big thank you to John, and I'm so glad that he was able to join so many past presidents to celebrate this summer. So NACD, we serve as the unified national voice for the nation's nearly 3,000 conservation districts. We work to secure federal funding for resource conservation programs. And we have a large member-driven board of directors that selects conservation policy priorities that we then use to develop and review environmental and natural resources legislation. And we're especially grateful to Georgia's board members, so Mr. Danny Hogan and Mr. Mark Masters, for their service and engagement in NACD. And in addition to the advocacy work that we do, we communicate a lot. So if you are not receiving our publications, we have a weekly email newsletter called eResource. We offer a quarterly publication called The Resource with longer stories and partner update. Very frequently post stories on our blog, and you can also follow us on social media. So please come join us in those spots and sign up to receive some of those publications that you're interested in if you don't already receive them. Another thing we do is to develop conservation leaders. So there's opportunities to serve, obviously, on our board. We offer opportunities for board members to serve on a variety of committees and resource policy groups. We have a number of events, whether it's webinars or in-person events, like our big annual meeting in February each year. And then I wanted to share with you all today one that Mark is very close to, and we are actually recruiting for it right now. And that is the Next Generation Leadership Institute, which is run by our sister organization, the National Conservation Foundation. And it's a great opportunity. What it is, it's a year-long professional leadership development training. And folks that are accepted into that program meet at various times during the year, typically to coincide with NACD meetings for a wide variety of different training opportunities. And it's a program that's open to currently appointed or elected supervisors, folks that might have a current or potential for a statewide leadership position. And the goal this year, this will be the second cohort. Mark was part of the first inaugural cohort back in 2020. And our goal for this upcoming cohort is to select 7 participants, so 1 representing each of NACD's 7 regions. And if you are interested, let me know. I'm happy to provide more information if you're interested in the experience. Thanks, Mark. Mark just posted information on the website on where to go for more information about NGLI, and I'm sure would be happy to share his experiences with you all too. But the application process, it's an online application. We also request signed letters of support from your state association and conservation district, as well as a $50 application fee. And the deadline to apply is by Friday, September 24th. So if you'd like more details, feel free to reach out. I also just wanted to share, we provide a variety of direct services to conservation districts. And I will work with Katie in the weeks ahead about our 3 grant programs. That's the Friends of NACD District Grants Program, which is one of our newer ones. It's about 2 years old, and it offers, I usually kind of characterize it as micro grants. So grants that are around like $2,500 each. And we're able to provide usually about 4 of those annually for conservation districts. And then we have our Urban Agriculture Conservation Grant Initiative through conservation districts for a variety of projects. And it's not necessarily, I get many questions. The Urban Grant Initiative is, it can be for more rural districts who want to implement projects in developed or developing areas of their communities. And it can also be for, you know, big urban districts as well. So there's some flexibility there. I mentioned those 2 because the open application periods for those will be coming up soon. We'll be announcing those in the fall with the intent to announce the grant awardees at NACD's annual meeting in February. And then the last grant program that we have is our Technical Assistance Grants Program. And that is also in partnership with NRCS to hire staff and get boots on the ground to help with conservation planning and technical assistance, as well as the EQIP and CSP programs. So if you're interested in those and I can help provide you with any details, I'd be happy to do so. And I will get with Katie to do a more in-depth recording to be shared with you about those grant programs as well. And then let's see, just to kind of round up, I wanted to mention we are in conversation for a couple of years now. We've been getting questions from conservation districts about NACD potentially being able to offer or connect folks to a health insurance program. So it's been a couple of years, but we've had conversations with multiple companies out there, and we're looking forward and gearing up to in the start of our fiscal year 22. So probably in like October, November time. Stay tuned because we're gearing up to offer access to health insurance as a benefit to district officials and employees whose districts contribute dues at that 775 level or above. So stay tuned for some more details on that probably later on this fall. And then I will also share with you all, I'm going to go back to my presentation here. We have some events coming up. So we have, I just wanted to kind of plug the Southeast Conservation District employees. We'll be meeting in November in Tennessee. Also coming up, we have some great events that we're looking forward to in the Southeast region. So February of 22 is our annual meeting in Orlando, Florida. We're also starting to plug here our 67th annual Stewardship Week, which is going to focus on healthy soil, healthy life. That's the theme this year, and there will be some new materials posted very soon for outreach on that theme. And then we're very excited in July of 22. We are looking forward to going to San Juan, Puerto Rico for a combined NACD summer meeting and Southeast region meeting. Oops. And then I'm just going to leave my contact information up there, and just thank you all again, especially to Georgia's districts and the more than half. We've got 20 that have paid dues to NACD this year. And please don't hesitate to contact me and be in touch if I can help connect you to any of NACD's resources. So thank you all for listening to me today. I much appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Candice. Appreciate you making time to be on and for that report. And, you know, Candice touched on an awful lot of really good stuff going on at NACD that, you know, just sort of scratched the surface in terms of, you know, what that organization is doing nationally. And so, you know, Candice, I'm steady after the rest. And so hopefully we'll bump those districts paying NACD dues up a little bit in the coming months. So I appreciate that. And it's a really good partnership with our friends at the national level. So thanks for being here. So we're going to move on and try to keep to our schedule as much as we can. So really excited to have the commission join us. We've got Mitch Attaway is going to kick it off, and I think we'll also hear from Robert Amos on some training. So Mitch, appreciate you being here representing the commission, and the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Mark, and good morning, everyone. I won't lie and say, you know, I was really looking forward to seeing everybody in person. I thought we were at a point we could do that. Unfortunately, we're not. And I applaud Mark and Katie for being able to switch gears, and the rest of the staff at GACD being able to put this together for us. Couple quick highlights of what we've been up to since last time I was in front of you. I think, again, it just proves to me that how important conservation is, how important what we do is, because we have not slowed down, and I know districts haven't slowed down, and I applaud each district for that. So for FY21, you know, one of the big things that districts and the commission's involved in is the plan reviews. So we reviewed over 4,300, and I believe That's the highest number that we have ever reviewed. To kind of back that up, our certification classes have been extremely busy. In July alone, there were over 100 courses with over 600 certifications issued. To me, that kind of goes back to Commissioner Black's point that he was making earlier about development and being prepared for that. And that's what us and the districts do with these plan reviews and the certification courses, to make sure that we allow that growth while protecting our natural resources. In the rural area, that's where we oversee our ag grants and watershed dams. Mr. Hudson touched on it. The dams are busy and busy. I feel like every time I give a speech like this, I say that the dams are busier than they ever have been. And I continue to say that because the workload is there, and fortunately, funding is there to back up that workload or to take care of that workload. Luckily, the past couple of years, state legislators taken an interest and seen the need to protect these dams and take care of them. So along with that funding and our partners at NRCS, we've been able to do some really good work. Completing one dam in Harris County around Columbus, that's the Palmetto 1 dam that Mr. Hudson talks about. We expect 3 other dams to take off into full rehab by the end of the year, along with between assessments and design and other studies, close to 30 other dams are getting looked at and putting on that list to move to rehab. And back to the state taking an interest, we have roughly $2 million of maintenance funds that we're really being able to take hold of and just maintain these dams to hopefully prevent them from getting to a rehab type situation. So we're excited about that opportunity. And also, as the work has grown in that area, that the state saw fit to provide us another position to help us out there. So we've conducted interviews for that, have made an offer, and expect by the 1st of September to have a watershed tech on staff to help Ben Heyer and Greg Walker out with these dams, and excited about that. I know those 2 guys are. They've been extremely busy, so this help will be very beneficial to us. In other news, I hope each supervisor in each district has heard now what the commission board chose to do in their June meeting with the 10% increase to district allotment effective this year. I know there's lots of good projects out there, and I hope you and your districts have had discussions about how to spend that increase. Along with that increase came an increase in per diem from $40 to $45. Again, board just saw that as a way to show a little bit of their appreciation to what supervisors are doing at their district level. Some other exciting news. I hope some of y'all have heard about the agreement that we've been working with for a while now with NRCS to provide some more staff for the commission, some more assistance to districts. I'm excited to announce that agreement has been executed. We can start working on that 1st of September. We have already posted positions. We have conducted interviews and are making offers and working on paperwork now. This will provide 3 more technical type positions throughout the state. I've been calling these districts or these positions liaisons between our headquarters in Athens and back to the districts. These people will be people that you're able to see more often in your district meetings, be people that you're able to put to work for you inside your district, instead of just relying on us in the Athens office where we can assist you as we can. This will be the most availability and in touch with the local districts that the commission has had since 2017. So really excited about that, really excited about the group of candidates that we have there, and hope to be passing some more information about the candidates, their roles, and introducing them to the districts here in the next couple of weeks. Supervisor handbooks, along with GACD, we printed the 2021 edition of the Supervisor Handbook. We have several copies of those. If you would like one, please, and have not received one yet, please let the commission or GACD know, and we will be sure to get you one. And along with training, I hope y'all have seen and have at least been able to take a look at the link on our website about the partnership training we did with the Attorney General's office last month that went over open meetings requirements, open records requirements, and just really the roles of districts based on the official code of Georgia. And I believe it's really beneficial. And so at this point, I'm going to pause and turn it over to Robert Amos and let him spend a little time going over the high points of that training. And I appreciate your time today and appreciate everything that you do for your district.
Well, thank you, Mitch. Good morning, everybody. One of the things, and I did not include this in my presentation, so I'm going off my notes, so hopefully I won't go too far down the rabbit hole. But I've had, speaking of training, I've had a couple of the metro districts request our level 1A training, and I'm working on setting up some dates for that. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw it out to anybody in the group, any of the districts. If y'all want to participate in the 1A, the blue card training that I'm gonna do probably sometime mid to late September, send me an email, call me, text me, whatever it is. We'll try to get as many supervisors or anybody interested on this call that wants to attend would be more than welcome to attend. So with that, I'm gonna try to share my screen. I'm not sure why it's doing a presenter view, but we're just going to go with it. Mitch talked about the training we hosted with GACD and the Attorney General's office. If you haven't had an opportunity to view the recording or look at the PowerPoint, I do encourage you to do so, because I'm really going to run through this really quick. I'm not going to do it much justice, but this was the agenda that the Attorney General's office went over. And you know, why was the Attorney General's office even wanting to do some training with us? Well, they are the legal arm for the districts and the commission. So when we do have a legal question, that's who we go to. It's actually in code that we have to use the Attorney General's office. So if your district ever has a legal question, work with us so that we can get the questions submitted either directly from the district, or the commission also has the ability to do, the commission through Mitch also has the ability to do that on behalf of the district. So a couple of things I wanted to touch on that really districts need to keep in mind is that you are state entities, and as that, you have to comply with the Open Records Act. And what that means is if anybody requests any information about some district activities, we have to comply with it. Now, I've got a folder that's about 2 inches thick of open records requests I've answered over the years. I've got several form letters. So in the event that that a district ever does receive an open records request, I've got a pretty good amount of resources that we can pull from to answer those open records requests. The key thing to remember is that a response has to be made within 3 business days. And that response does not necessarily have to include all the information that's being requested, but a response does have to be made within that 3 business days. As much as we may sometimes like to ignore it, we can't. There are, when I say I've got a good bit of resources to pull from, there are things that people may request from the local Soil and Water Conservation District or from the Soil and Water Conservation Commission that we don't have to comply with. But those are very specifically laid out in code. And so if there's a question on whether or not we have to provide this information, again, work with commission, we'll work with the Attorney General's office if we need to on the providing those records if there is any kind of question on whether they fall under one of these exemptions or not. The other thing that I wanted to touch on as far as the Attorney General's training was just like with the open records, we have to comply with that. We also have to comply with the Open Meetings Act. And really, that just means anyone and everyone is invited to these, is invited to our district meetings, to our district events. We cannot exclude anybody. We certainly had the ability not to allow somebody to take over a meeting and to limit how much time we give them to talk, but we cannot exclude anybody from a meeting. We want this to be open to the public to have input if they need to on what the districts are doing. And in order to hold that district meeting, we have to have a quorum. This is how the Georgia law defines what a quorum is. And it's the majority of the supervisor positions. So it's always important to try to get those positions filled when there are vacancies. I know we've worked with the governor's office to do appointments for elected positions when we've had trouble, when we've had somebody interested in an elected position outside of an election year. We've also got the ability to appoint the appointed supervisors through our commission board and working with the local boards at any time. So this is the role, and a lot of times I get questions from districts about what are our bylaws. Well, our bylaws are laid out in OCGA, and this is the district's bylaws. I certainly have the ability to write additional rules that you want to apply to your district. For example, every year, maybe you want to elect a new chairman. Or every 5 years you want to elect a new chairman. That's certainly up to the individual district's board. But as far as what governs a district, it's laid out in Official Code of Georgia. And this is straight out of the Official Code of Georgia. So in that regard as well, there's a variety of ways that one of the things hear a lot about from the districts is we, even though we've got some increased funding from the commission board this year, you know, it's not enough. It's never enough. How do we go about getting some additional funds for some additional projects that we want to look at? And here is just a listing that the Attorney General's office has provided on ways districts can get that additional funding for those additional projects. So that kind of leads me into the final bullet point you saw on here was district grants. So that leads me into the district grants. Now, I am barely going to scratch the surface on this. If there are any questions about your individual district, maybe applying for a grant on your own, certainly do not hesitate to reach out to me. Mitch mentioned the new employees we'll be getting that will be supporting the districts. Do not hesitate to reach out to them as well, or other partners to help you with this. So kind of where you look at, this is for our strategic plan, this is our agency mission. And you can see how it's pretty broad. And I know that, you know, a district's area can vary from district to district. So when you're looking at the grants, looking at what to apply for, looking what's appropriate, kind of the thing you need to look at is where you're at in the state. And you know, there's not one district that's exactly like another one. And so when you're looking at applying for a grant, really the first place to start is with your annual plan of work. Put it in your annual plan of work. You know, I mentioned the annual plans of work because most everybody has updated theirs or is in the process. Everybody's in the process of updating it. So for this new fiscal year, put it in your annual plan of work. That's the first place to start. Have the discussions at your local board meetings about what you want to do, what direction you want to go in, and how broad or narrow you want to go. When you look at things that you can spend your district funds on, this is a list that the Attorney General provided during their training. I'm pretty straightforward in saying that bring the idea. Let me help with the idea. We'll make sure it's legal. Pretty much standard is no food, no clothes, but we may be able to even get around a clothes clause. But you can see here the list that the Attorney General's office provided what you can spend state money on. I mentioned that the place to get started is your annual plan of work. If you are looking, depending on the type of grant you're looking at, will depend on the requirements you may have to even apply for that grant. You're looking at federal grants with our, or you're looking at an agreement with our NRCS partners. A couple of things you're going to need to have is a DUNS number and a SAMS. You could need a SAMS number, and you will need your tax ID number. And I have, for this group, over the years, I've applied for grants for most everybody in this group, minus a couple of others, but I know my counterparts over the years have applied. So every district could possibly already have a DUNS number. You may have a SAMS number, although the SAMS requires you to update that every year. Most every district, except for a couple, has a tax ID number. But when you're looking, wherever you're looking, this is an example of what you may see from our NRCS partners or from another federal partner. Take the time, if you want to do this at your district level, take the time to read through this. This will give you instructions, precise instructions on how much money you can request, how to request it, how to write it up, whether or not you need your DUNS number, your SAMS number. If you're not sure if you have a DUNS number, you can go to the website, type in your district, and it should pull up your DUNS number if you have one. If you don't, it's real easy to register for one. If the grant requires you to have a SAMS number, you can go there and look up and see if you've got a SAMS number. This is a little more labor intensive to get your SAMS number if you do not have one. But again, you've got some resources and some partnerships out there that can help you through this process. If you're applying for the federal grants, you may be faced with some forms that look like this. If it looks like Greek to you, again, reach out to your support staff. You know, I've done more of these. I've done a lot of these, but I am certainly not an expert in these, as well as a form that looks like this. Done a lot of them over the years, but I am certainly not an expert, but I'd be more than willing to help you through this process. Some good places to look, grants.gov. That is a tremendous resource to look at. Another resource to look at is NRCS has got this great page on how do you go about getting a DUNS number? How do you go about getting a SAMS number? Who needs that DUNS number? Who needs that SAMS number? It's a great resource to look at when you're looking at trying to apply for some of these grants. If you don't want to go to the federal side, there's some state grants out there. I pull up this one just because this is one I've done for districts in the past, and it's a good grant if you have a trails need in your district. It not only applies to trails through the woods, but if you want to install a water trail, it would apply for that as well. Again, there's a tremendous amount of resources out there. There's a tremendous amount of grants that are out there. This is another website, and it actually gives you some information and some how-tos on applying for federal grants, some do's and don'ts. This is just a short grants link. Again, this is not inclusive, all inclusive, just some general ideas. If you need a place to start, just to look to where to read, these grant links are a good place to start. Your local companies, corporations, almost all of them have some kind of grant program, and that may be useful to your soil and water district. Couple of things to keep in mind, and that looks small on my screen. I hope it's not unreadable on yours, but any payment that you make more than $600, it will require a 1099 to that recipient. There also, with you being a state entity, and I'm learning a little bit about this as well, but there may be, there likely is going to be a requirement to report these grants to the Fair and Open Grants Act. That's a state of Georgia thing. And so just keep in mind, most of the grants that you'd be applying for, they're all going to require reporting, which is going to require a good bit of time. But the advantage that there is available to districts are the resources that are available to you. You've got the commission, you've got GACD, you've got NRCS, you've got RC&D, you've got extension, and you've probably got 10 others that I could have included on this slide. Call on those partners to help. They can be a great resource in helping you apply for and administer these grants.
Yeah.
I hope I didn't go too long, Mark.
Yeah, we're a little over. So I'm gonna ask folks to, once again, if they've got questions or clarification, just drop those in the chat. We'll make sure this information gets out. I know y'all will be circulating through the district meetings, but we're a little over, and wanted to let you finish there, Robert. But we need to get on to Dr. Mengak. He's been patiently waiting here and has been a fantastic partner with us on all of our feral swine initiatives. We're going to hear a little more about that later. But Dr. Mengak, appreciate you being with us this morning, and go ahead and you can share your screen, and I look forward to hearing an update.
Thank you all. Everybody can hear me well, I guess. Thank you for inviting me. Being a little bit over time is not a problem. I've got a little flexibility this morning before I run off to classes this afternoon to educate the masses here at the University of Georgia today on our first day of class. But let's see if I can get this screen share going, and I'll get into this. I promise I'll be done by noon 30 at the latest.
We'll be anxiously waiting for you to wrap up at lunch. That's right.
I guess I should ask, I mean, does anybody need to take a break? Katie, is that in your schedule? If anybody needs to go recycle coffee or anything, or you want me to just jump right in?
Yeah, I think Dr. Mengak need to go ahead and just jump on in, and I think we're good. If folks need to step away, certainly feel free.
All right, thank you. All right, they asked me to talk a little bit about pigs. So we've done numerous workshops with Katie and the GACD over the years. Katie has been great to organize these things. COVID has closed us down a little bit recently. We usually do about 5 of these a year, and I guess we did one in February of 20, and I think we did our first one post-COVID just a few months ago. So we're behind on the number that we do, but they've always been a lot of fun. And I'll share with you some of the information that I usually share at those workshops. I don't know what happened. Where's the share?
You're
You are?
sharing, Dr.
I'm
Mengak.
sharing. You see that? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. All right, there we go. So first off, we have a website, GeorgiaFeralSwine.com. Great place to go and get resources about feral swine, frequently asked questions, a nice video that they put together, landowner's guide, and so on. So there's always places to go to get more information on these nasty pigs. Speaking of nasty pigs, let's start out with some legal definitions. I'm glad somebody else introduced the official code of Georgia, because I'm going to jump into that just very briefly. But pigs are not wildlife in the state of Georgia. Pigs are non-native, invasive, destructive animals. And I was up in Blairsville last week and got into a discussion with a group up there about different colored pigs, and they got all excited about what the different colors mean, and it means nothing. To that same end, let's put to rest this idea that there's such a thing as a Russian wild boar. There is no such thing. It doesn't exist. If a pig lives in Russia, it's Russian. If that same pig gets on an airplane and flies over to Germany, it's a German pig. It's the same animal. So that leads us to a pig is a pig is a pig is a pig. No matter what color it is, they're all just pigs. So there's nothing special about them. They're pigs. The law defines pigs and wild pigs as any hog that has lived any part of its life in a free-ranging wild condition. That'll be important in a few more slides. You'll see where I'm going with that. But that's the legal definition of a wild pig in the state of Georgia. They're pretty nasty. They cause a lot of damage, depending on what numbers you read, $1.5 to $2.5 billion of damage per year, maybe even higher than that. There are a lot of economists that are trying to work on new damage estimates. The $1.5 billion is from a publication in 2007, so it's a little out of date, but the new numbers are looking at $2.5 to $3 billion of damage per year. In Georgia, we've done a couple of studies, the most recent in 2014, a statewide study. And again, that's a little out of date also. We're looking into the possibility of revising that. But about $99 million in damage to crops, $52 million in damage to other items besides crops, pastures, fences, irrigation, roads, pond banks, ditches, levees, golf courses, food plots, whatever would be other than crop. So about $150 million worth of damage in the state of Georgia. And again, that number, as I said, is starting to get a little dated. North Georgia, pulled some numbers from that survey. I don't have it broken down exactly into ways that would match Group 1 and Group 2 in y'all's districts. I worked with extension, so I broke it down into extension districts, which are pretty close to y'all's districts, but not exactly the same, but let's just call it North Georgia in general. And that number came out to be about $46 million worth of damage. And you can see the breakdown between crops and non-crops. So pretty serious. If you break it down, I can't break it down to a per acre basis. I could break it down to about $14,000 on average per producer who responded to the survey. $14,000 per producer, which is a lot of damage to producers. It's very significant to many of our agricultural producers throughout the state. When I first came to Georgia in 2001, I did a little survey of county agents in 2002. 31% of the county agents reported problems with pigs. I redid that survey in 2016, and that number jumped up to 71%, about a 2.5-fold increase. And from 163 complaints to 758 complaints, a 3.5-fold increase. So the number of complaints seems to be increasing exponentially across the state. And again, a 2016 survey, the problem's only getting worse, as we all know. How fast is the problem spreading? It's spreading pretty fast. We've got pigs in probably 38, 39 states across the country. Usually somebody puts a pig in the back of a trailer. There's generally alcohol involved, and I don't think it's the pig that's drinking, but the problem is spreading about 65 miles an hour down the highway. A couple of years ago, that led the legislature, and we thank the legislature for instituting or passing this law, and then the Department of Ag with the regulations that now make it a crime. It's technically, as my friends in Georgia law enforcement tell me, a misdemeanor of a high and aggravated nature with a $1,500 fine per pig. No person shall transport live feral hogs unless you have a feral hog transport permit issued by the Department of Agriculture. The pig has to be live, it has to be transported under permit, and it has to be released into an approved facility. You can't just turn it loose in the woods. That's definitely against the law. We'll talk a little bit about approved facilities again in a few slides. I'll come back around to some of these things. So we have a pig problem for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is that pig hunting is a cultural event. You can go on the blog. There's a lot of glamour around pig hunting. It's much more glamorous than it really is. I've hunted a few pigs and it's really not all that exciting or glamorous. It's just slogging through the swamp and shooting a pig. Pig hunting is not an effective control technique. Pig trapping is an effective control technique. This is what we're going for. Our objective is a lot of dead pigs. As our retired veterinarian, state veterinarian, Dr. Cobb said at his, always said at our workshops, the only good feral pig is a dead feral pig. So this is our objective, is a pile of dead feral pigs. Rod Pinkston, the founder and president of JagerPro, gave me this slide. All of those pigs are under 150 pounds. There's a lot of misinformation and glory about how big pigs are on the internet, and they're not as big as the internet says they are. This quote from Rod is a little old. It's probably up to 27 or 28,000 pigs by now, but their staff has killed 22,000 or 28,000 feral pigs in Georgia with only one boar exceeding 500 pounds and less than 5% exceeding 300 pounds. Pigs weigh about 150 pounds. They don't weigh 600 pounds. They just, you can find one out there somewhere, but that's not what they weigh. Let's talk a little bit about, that's the social side of pigs, economics and pig hunting culture. Let's talk a little bit about the biological side of pigs. They're classified as opportunistic omnivores. That means they eat everything. There's a list there that covers just about everything you can find in the woods. If it's not on that list, it probably should be, because if a pig could get its mouth around it, a pig will probably eat it. They'll eat a lot of corn and corn feeders. They'll eat deer. Down here in this lower right-hand picture, about 95% of their diet is vegetable matter, roots and tubers and seeds and grass. They eat a lot of grass in the summer. Keeping with their biology, this is a quote from a friend of mine in Texas: pigs are born pregnant. That always makes people pause for a second. They're not really born pregnant, but it's a good way to think about their biology. They have the highest reproductive rate of any mammal of their size probably on the planet. You think about a 150-pound animal that has a litter size of 4 to 6, average about 5, 1 or 2 litters a year, and you can't think of very many 150-pound mammals that have that kind of a reproductive rate. Deer have 1 or 2 a year. Bears have 3 every other year. Those are mammals of about the same size as a pig. Again, going back to bashing the internet, they don't have 12 in a litter. I've seen that in publications and newspaper articles. In 50 years of search and literature, I found one study that in one place in South Carolina where a litter of 11 was found in a pig. If anybody can show me where pigs have 12 in a litter in the wild, I'd like to see that information, because I've never found it. I don't believe they do. I've also read where they can have 3 litters a year. Again, if anybody's got any data on that, I'd love to see it, because there's none of that in the scientific literature. They have 1 or 2 litters per year of about 4 or 5 or 6 per litter. That is average. That is typical. That's what's happening on the ground. In a litter of 8, 9 will survive. They have very high reproductive, very high survival. There's some new research that looks at survival in young pigs, and it's running 80, 90%, maybe even higher in some studies. They don't have any predators, if you think about it. there's really no predator on a pig out there. A coyote takes one, a bear takes one, a bobcat gets one, an alligator gets one. That's rather insignificant. They really don't have any predators. Mom is pretty protective. They eat everything. They live almost everywhere. They can survive in lots of different environments throughout the state of Georgia. They have very high survival and very high reproductive rates. That contributes to the growth of the pig population. That contributes to the size of the problem that we have. Going back to that, releasing pigs into an approved facility, any fence that can hold water will hold a pig. They're great escape artists. They're intelligent. They can jump in and out of backyard pens pretty easily. They do jump in and out of backyard pens. If they jump out of a backyard pen and live a couple of days in the wild and then jump back in to the pen, by law, they're a wild pig, and they are no longer a backyard pet domestic animal. They are a wild pig and fall under the wild pig laws of Georgia. When they jump out of the pen, they do whatever it is they do with other pigs, and then they jump back in. They're bringing a lot of diseases back into that pen. They can also live in pretty cold climates. Canada has a problem with pigs. They have a lot of diseases, parasites, at least 40 that we know of, some more common. A few are a big threat to humans and human livestock and pets. Brucellosis is a big problem, a big threat. Not necessarily a problem. Most of our livestock herds are brucellosis free, and it costs a lot of money to keep them that way. People can get brucellosis, tularemia, pseudorabies. People can't get that. Dogs can get it. Other animals can get it. Hog cholera, classical swine fever, and trichinella, a couple other diseases and parasites. That makes them a threat to livestock. It makes them a threat to pets. It makes them a threat to people. Now, what really keeps disease ecologists up at night is the threat of bioterrorism. If a disease like brucellosis or anthrax or hog cholera got into the wild pigs, and they interacted with domestic pigs, and then that disease got into the domestic pork industry, let's say, you could shut down the pork industry in 3 to 5 days. There'd be no pork on the shelves in a week or two in the grocery store, and it would cost billions and billions of dollars. This issue keeps disease ecologists and veterinarians up at night. A good reason why we should reduce the pig population in the wild and not move them around. So how do we go about removing or reducing the pig population? And there's a couple of different tools that we have. The most effective tool is trapping. There's a particular way to trap. There's a right way and a wrong way to do it. Trapping is a process. It's not an event. There's no such thing as once and done. You trap them once, you never have to do it again. Nothing in life works that way. Trapping pigs is no different. You can trap them. You can be successful at trapping them. You can get rid of the ones that are on your property today, but there'll be more back sometime again because they're wandering around the environment. When trapping, it isn't the number that you take, it's the number that you leave behind. So if you look at this picture that's up on the screen, there's 27 pigs there that were trapped up in Madison County a couple of years ago. And that was 27 out of 27. We did our job and caught all the pigs that were coming to that trap on that landowner's property. If we had left that one pig, that big sow pointed to by that red arrow, if we had caught 26 out of 27 pigs, we caught 26 out of 27 pigs, we caught 95%. 95% is a darn good grade. Classes start today. There's a lot of students that aren't going to get 95% in my classes, but boy, 95 is a good grade. That's A. That's top notch, but you left that one pig out there. The number that you left behind is the important number. If we go back to what we learned this morning, pigs breed twice a year. A healthy pig that's eating everything in the woods that he can eat, plus deer corn and food plots and chufa and whatever else we put out there for it, hay, cattle feed, whatever. Pigs from the first litter can reach sexual maturity and breed in 4 to 6 months. Average litter size is 5. Let's start with that one pig from the previous slide that got away. That pig's going to produce a litter in about 112 days, gestation period, about 112 days. She's going to produce a litter of 5, and let's just make half of them female. Those pigs can reach sexual maturity in 4 to 6 months. They can get pregnant, 112-day gestation. The first pig comes back into heat. She produces a second litter, and in less than 15 months, that one pig that got away has produced 24 pigs. Go back to that slide where you caught 26 out of 27. 1 year later, you're back to 24 again. You've had no impact. You're right back where you started from, because the one that got away is the most important pig. Going back to bashing the internet again, I'm not a big fan of some of these blogs, as you can tell. Are feral swine a threat to humans? And the answer is absolutely no, they're not. You can go walk around the woods and you don't have to worry about getting eaten by a pig. Pigs don't eat people. Jack Mayer over at the Savannah River Department of Energy Laboratory in Aiken, South Carolina, looked at pig attacks for 183 years and found 412 documented pig attacks from 1825 to 2012. He relooked at that information again and found a few more, or found, when he looked at it in detail, that 70% of those were in the last century, in this century, in the last 12 years. There's been 100 fatalities from wild pigs, and 82 out of that 100 were in Europe or Asia. A couple in the United States. They found 2 fatalities from pigs in the United States. The last one about 2 years ago in Texas was on the news. Maybe you've heard about it. So feral swine are not a threat to humans. You can go for a walk in the woods. They're not going to attack you. They're not going to chase you. They're not going to eat you. And they're probably not going to run you up a tree. Will they defend themselves? Absolutely. Will mama pig defend the little pigs? Absolutely. Is a wounded pig dangerous? Absolutely. I've been bit by a mouse. Every animal is going to defend itself and try to get away. Pigs will defend themselves. Will they chase you and eat you in the woods? No. So catching 26 out of 27 pigs is relatively poor. Sorry about that. Let's shut that phone off. It's poor. Again, it's not the number that you catch, it's the number you leave behind. Hunting, shooting, and running with dogs is almost always a failure at pig control. It will never solve the problem. It can help in some situations. If you have pigs on a golf course, maybe you don't have 2 weeks to trap them. Maybe you just got to go out there and shoot them and scare them and disperse them. If you got pigs in a cemetery, you don't have 2 weeks to wait for trapping to catch them. Pre-baiting, building the trap, doing all the things we're supposed to do. You have to go out and shoot them. Going out into a field at night with your thermal rifle, seeing 12 pigs out in the field and shooting 2 of them and dispersing the other 10, you've just educated 10 pigs. They're going to be harder and harder to get next time. Hadn't solved the problem. You got 2, you left 10 behind. It's the number that you leave behind that count. Things that have come up in our workshops over the past years that we've done this. What about bounties? Why don't we pay bounties on pigs? Bounties have been around for over 100 years. There's a 100-year history of total failure of bounties to control anything. It's easy to cheat. It's way too expensive. And if you think about a bounty, the only way a bounty can be effective at all, irrespective of the cheating and expense issue, is that we're already killing thousands of pigs for free. You're going to put a bounty on them and pay people? The only time that can be effective to reduce the pig population is the pig after the one that's killed for free. So if we're killing 15,000 for free, why would you put a bounty on them and pay to kill 15,000 that we're already killing now for free? It's the 15,001 that makes a difference. We're already killing lots of pigs for free, and it's not solving the problem. Paying people to kill pigs with the bounty system is never going to work. 100 years of history and bounties have always failed. Toxicants are out there. It's an exciting new tool that's on the horizon. It's being tested. Sodium nitrate is the chemical that is toxic to pigs. It's 2 to 3 years away from being approved by Department of Ag, EPA, FDA, state wildlife departments, and so on. It's going to be a good tool when it comes available. It's going to have its limitations like any tool. And I will leave you with the thought that we've had rat poison for over 5,000 years and we still have rats. When we start poisoning pigs, we're still going to have pigs. It's just going to be another tool. Research is telling us 2 to 3 years maybe before it's ready to be on the market. Another question comes up at our workshops is, what about birth control? And I kind of smile at that. And pigs don't wear their condoms, if you will. Birth control is going to fail in a wild population. It always fails in a wild population. Sterile pigs eat just as much as fertile pigs. If you have to catch them and surgically sterilize them, they're going to eat just as much as unsterilized pigs. If you could put a fertility control agent in their food, there's issues with what else might be getting that food. Do you really want that many artificial hormones running around the environment? There's just a lot of issues with it. It'll never work in a wild population. So the answer then comes down to, yeah, you can shoot a couple of pigs if they're in your cemetery or on your golf course. It'll disperse them. It's not going to control them. It's not going to remove them from your property. Just shooting 2 and leaving the other 10 or 11 run away. But large-scale corral trapping is the best tool we have to have an impact on pigs. Large-scale corral trapping. This is not a large-scale corral trap. This is a pig trap that fails to solve the problem, because if you'll notice, there's 4 little, as my colleague says, stupid, hungry, suicidal pigs in this trap. And that big mama pig, she's nowhere to be found. She's off making more pigs somewhere. So these small traps that catch just a couple of pigs at a time, not effective. Not going to solve the problem. Large-scale corral trapping is the best answer we have right now. I've gone through that kind of quickly, but I'm done. Thad Glenn, our county agent up in Stevens County, is doing a workshop that myself and Matt Undovchik with USDA Wildlife Services will be the 2 presenters. It's next Thursday, and if you're interested, you can get on the Stevens County Cooperative Extension webpage and register there. If you're in that area, it's up around Toccoa. I'm sure you know that. But that's all I have. Hopefully, I covered what you were looking for. I went through it fairly quickly, but
yeah, no, absolutely, Dr. Mengak, appreciate that, and yeah, covered a lot and really informative. And I would just say a lot of the work that you and the folks there at the UGA have done have greatly informed, you know, our outreach efforts and the things we're doing to try to control, you know, feral swine around Georgia. And Katie's going to show you some of our impact on that, and I know y'all have played a big part in that. So very much appreciate that and appreciate the partnership. So
we appreciate working with y'all and your trap custodian program, and the Farm Bill has been a great help to us. We're working with the Jones Center and Tall Timbers Research Center down in Florida on Farm Bill projects. We got four graduate students working on various aspects of the pig problem with USDA Wildlife Services and our partners. So we're staying on the problem as best we can, and we appreciate the cooperation and the opportunity to share with you all at this meeting.
Good. Well, thank you for being here. And Katie, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to start your screen share. Katie's our executive director at GACD, and I know we're bumping up our original time, but we've got some important things to cover in the next few minutes, just in terms of what GACD is out doing to support you as district supervisors in conservation districts around the state. So, Katie, going to turn it over to you, and then we'll get things wrapped up.
Thank you, Mark. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today for our Group 2 training. I look forward to hopefully seeing y'all in person again soon, but virtual will have to do for now. But I am Katie Sponberger. I am the Executive Director of the Georgia Association of Conservation Districts. And today I'll be giving you all just an update on what GACD has been up to. So first, I would like to take a moment of time to introduce our GACD staff that serves Group 2. Then I will be discussing GACD programs that Group 2 conservation districts are participating in. And lastly, I will wrap my presentation up with a recap of the 2021 Natural Resources Conservation Workshop. So under our new agreement with NRCS that started on July 1st, our staff lineup looks slightly different, but we are continuing to provide the same level of service to our conservation partners. And through our new agreement, we will be providing districts with regional support through our new regional program managers. So I would like to first introduce Leanne Rutledge. Leanne is GACD's new regional program manager that will be serving all of the conservation districts throughout Group 2. Leanne is a former district program assistant for the Stevens County Conservation District and the Upper Chattahoochee River Conservation District. And she will be providing support to all the conservation districts throughout Group 2. She can assist you all with coordinating your monthly meetings, drafting your minutes, and also helping coordinate any outreach activities that your district has scheduled. And I'm sure most of y'all have already spoken with or met Leanne in person, but I have included Leanne's email address here on the screen if you have questions or need assistance from her. Next up is our GACD statewide staff that serves all of the districts in Georgia. Myself, I'm the executive director, so I manage all the day-to-day operations of GACD. And we have Maddie Barnes. Maddie is GACD's project coordinator, and she also coordinates all of GACD's policy efforts and our legislative events at the Capitol that we have every year for district supervisors. In addition, she leads GACD's Friend of Conservation Annual Fund, and she assists with the execution of our statewide GACD programs. And next up is Irony Payne. You all have probably worked with Irony Payne with your district's pollinator garden, but Irony is GACD's pollinator coordinator, and she leads the execution of our pollinator garden and habitat initiative that you'll hear about in just a moment. And this is Earl Brantley. Earl manages GACD's Cooperative Agreement Program, or our County Agreement Program that it's also called. And through this program, Earl assists NRCS offices throughout the state by providing them additional staffing through agreements with local government entities. So we all are happy to serve you and happy to help. Please reach out to us if you have any questions. And I want to thank all of the GACD staff for being on the meeting today and helping coordinate this event. And we look forward to continuing serving all of our conservation partners. So now I'm going to discuss a couple of our GACD programs that are in action across Group 2. So I'll be talking about our feral swine control and outreach initiative and our pollinator initiative. And GACD has some additional programs that we execute in other areas of the state. I won't be talking about those today, but we do have all of the information about our programs on our website. So as you heard from Dr. Mengak, feral swine are a serious threat to Georgia's natural resources and agricultural crops. And one of the ways GACD is working to assist with this issue is by providing funding to conservation districts across the state so they can purchase feral swine trapping equipment and start a feral swine control program locally. So right now we have 12 conservation districts across the state that are operating their own feral swine control program. And you can see from the map here, all the areas shaded in pink represent the districts that have a control program. And as you can see, districts are covering a substantial area of the state and are showing an impact with their efforts. And our feral swine control efforts are led by Tom Mims. Tom is a district supervisor for the Brier Creek Conservation District, and he also chairs GACD's Feral Swine Committee. And we are so appreciative of Tom's leadership of this program. He does a great job, and if y'all have any questions about feral swine control or getting your district started with a trapping control program, he's happy to answer those questions. And there are currently 6 districts in Group 2 that have a feral swine control program. And those districts are Blue Ridge Mountain, Brier Creek, Broad River, Columbia County, Piedmont, and Upper Chattahoochee River. And so far this year through July, group districts have removed 1,103 hogs from Northeast Georgia, and they have saved property owners over $330,000 in damage to their property and agricultural crops. So great job to all the districts participating, and we look forward to seeing continued results through your programs. And in addition to our control efforts, GACD partners with Dr. Mengak at the University of Georgia Warnell School of Forestry, the Georgia Department of Agriculture, the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, and the United States Department of Agriculture to conduct feral swine control outreach throughout the state. And these workshops are free for attendees, and participants learn about all aspects of hog biology, transport issues, regulations, and there is a live trapping demonstration on site. And typically we do partner with local conservation districts to host these workshops. And this year we were able to partner with the Brier Creek Conservation District to host a workshop in Burke County. And we are looking forward to ramping these back up when we can do so because of COVID. So now I will be discussing Group 2's involvement in GACD's pollinator initiative. So GACD and all of the conservation districts in Group 2 have partnered to install 15 pollinator gardens at schools and community centers throughout Northeast Georgia. Through this initiative, GACD has provided conservation districts with raised bed kits, soil, seeds, and signage to implement this project. These pollinator gardens serve as a learning opportunity for students and adults to learn about pollinators' role in agricultural production through educational lessons. And GACD and several conservation districts in Group 2 have partnered to perform site preparation for 5 larger pollinator habitat sites. And so for these habitat sites, we use a smothering technique to prepare the soil. And GACD provides the conservation districts with black plastic that you see in this picture here that they install on the property. And they actually installed this plastic this past spring, and they'll leave the plastic in place for a full year, and next spring it will be removed and they'll plant their pollinator seeds. And our Group 2 districts that are participating in our pollinator habitat program are Oconee River, Hall County, Walton County, and Broad River. And in addition, GACD is currently working with the Georgia Department of Transportation to install additional pollinator habitats and educational exhibits at welcome centers located on the interstate corridors leading into our state. So you can see this map here, all of the welcome centers that are located throughout the state. These centers have a lot of foot traffic and will provide a great learning opportunity to promote our state's pollinators. And Arnie Payne, who is GACD's pollinator coordinator, is also expanding pollinator outreach throughout the state of Georgia by developing educational curriculum for teachers to use in conjunction with their GACD pollinator garden. And she is also working with monarchs across Georgia to hold a class for teachers where they will learn how to implement pollinator education into their agriculture curriculum. And Arnie will be hosting a workshop in Group 2 on August 21st in Gainesville, and these are free to attend. And if you know of any ag teachers that might want to learn more about implementing pollinators into their classroom education, you can refer them to this workshop, or they can contact Arnie with any questions. Also, if your district has any questions about your pollinator garden or maintenance or anything like that, Arnie is available to answer those questions, and her email is here on your screen. And if your conservation district is interested in providing support directly to any of the programs you just heard about, we invite y'all to become a friend of conservation. And all donations through GACD's Friend of Conservation program will provide additional support to our programs and GACD training events. I have included the link here to our website if you're interested. And now I'm excited to give all of y'all a recap of the 2021 Natural Resources Conservation Workshop. So for those of you who aren't familiar with NRCW, this is a week-long camp that takes place every summer at Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College in Tifton, Georgia. And this year was the workshop's 60th year. High school students from across the state have the opportunity to learn about natural resources and take field trips where they learn how to shoot skeet, they learn about archery, they also get the opportunity to go fishing, and they learn about different conservation aspects like prescribed burning, and they also learn about career paths they can take in the natural resources field. And in addition, the students have the opportunity to receive valuable college scholarships provided by many of our partner agencies. And GACD is very involved with this workshop. And one of our staff members in South Georgia, Michelle Boone, she actually serves as the workshop director. So she is very hands-on and very involved in the coordination of this workshop. And GACD also assists the students every year with registering for the workshop. And conservation districts are always excited for the workshop every year. And some of the ways conservation districts are involved is that they sponsor the registration fees of all students that attend the workshop. So this year, due to COVID, we had a reduced capacity at the workshop. So we had around 60 students, and Group 2 sponsored a third of those students to attend. And I do want to give a shout out to Blue Ridge Mountain. They sponsored 2 students, and they also sponsored transportation for students to and from the workshop. Brier Creek sponsored 5 students. Oconee River sponsored 5 students. Upper Ocmulgee River sponsored 2 students. Walton County sponsored 1 student, and Warren County sponsored 6 students. So thank you all for your dedication to this workshop and providing the students the opportunity to attend. And in addition, several conservation districts across the state provide scholarships to local students who attend camp. And this year, the Blue Ridge Mountain Soil and Water Conservation District awarded a $1,200 scholarship. And Emma McConnell was the recipient of this scholarship. She resides in Blairsville, Georgia, and is an upcoming senior at Union County High School. So thank you, Blue Ridge Mountain, for providing this scholarship. And GACD partners with conservation districts across the state to offer a $6,500 scholarship to the highest scoring individual students at camp. And since the workshop was canceled last year, this year we were able to offer 2 scholarships. And both our scholarship recipients were from Group 1 this year, Mallory Martin from Carroll County and Luca Antonozzi from DeKalb County. And they were both very excited and very, very grateful to receive this substantial scholarship. And GACD board and staff would like to thank all of the conservation districts who have donated to this scholarship through your annual GACD dues. These districts are Blue Ridge Mountain, Brier Creek, Broad River, Columbia County, Lincoln County, Oconee River, Piedmont, Upper Chattahoochee River, Upper Ocmulgee River, and Walton County. So thank you, and we appreciate all that y'all do to support the NRCW. And lastly, the GACD board and staff and the board and staff of the Georgia Soil and Water Conservation Commission were able to host a joint meeting on site of this year's Natural Resources Conservation Workshop at ABAC. So they were all really excited to be able to see the camp in action and meet some of the participating students. So thank you all that attended this event. And if you have any questions about the information that I just presented, you can feel free to drop those in your chat box, or you can email or call us at GACD and we will be happy to help. And that's all I have, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. Katie, thanks. I know you cover a lot, and appreciate you giving the update, and particularly, since this is a group 2 meeting, really highlighting a lot of the good work that's going on in the northeast part of the state. So thanks for doing that. And, just to not spend too much time on it, but, I often get asked, and was fortunate enough to be with NACD in Chicago, and just, traveling around doing some of this stuff, well, what's the point of GACD? Why be a part of GACD? Why be a part of NACD? And I think Katie just really provided a couple of fantastic examples of why it's important to have a state association that can kind of act as that aggregator of information, the amplifier of the good things. The feral swine project is really, I think, probably the best example of that. We have local issues in a conservation district, and we have kind of this grassroots groundswell of a need that's, established and, amplified. And then GACD is able to bring resources together like Dr. Mengak, like, leveraging funds from NRCS to then go out and address that need. And so, we appreciate Group 2 and the districts in Group 2 supporting GACD, and we are excited to partner with you and, keep telling that good conservation story. So thanks, Katie. And as she pointed out, reach out if there's anything else we can do on our end. The presentation, I know we had to cover a lot of the contact information and things pretty quick, but the presentations around all this information is on the website if you want to follow up. So I'm going to move now to the last item on the agenda, and that's some Group 2 business, election of a vice president and the alternate vice president. And so Vice President Hughes asked me to moderate that part of the agenda, and so I'm happy to do that. So district supervisors, if y'all could go ahead and find that mute button if you're interested in making nominations, as well as for voting in just a minute. Go ahead and find the mute button, turn the video on if you're so inclined. But our first election will be for our Group 2 vice president. And so at this time, I will open the floor for nominations for Group 2 vice president.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
this is Dan Bennett from Walton County. And I would like to nominate Ted Hughes for Group 2 vice president.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. We have a nomination for Ted Hughes for Group 2 vice president. Are there other nominations? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion that nominations for Group 2 vice president be closed.
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Both motion and second to close nominations. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion to close carries. And with that, Mr. Hughes, you are elected by acclamation. Congratulations on being re-elected Group 2 Vice President. So we'll move on to nominations for Group 2 Alternate Vice President. Please come off mute if you're so inclined to make a nomination.
Roger Shepard, Stevens County District. Mr. President, I'd like to nominate Sonny Turner for GACD Group 2 Alternate Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. Shepard. We have a nomination for Sonny Turner. Are there other nominations?
Move that nominations be closed.
Okay. We have a motion that nominations be closed. Is there a second?
Second.
Both motion and second to close nominations. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion to close nominations carries. Mr. Turner, congratulations. Elected by acclamation as Group 2 Alternate Vice President. All right. Vice President Hughes, is there other business to come before the group? All right, hearing none, I would say, we didn't have any questions pop up in the chat, but we're able to stick around a little longer. If there are questions for our presenters, questions for GACD, anything we can address, the floor is now open, and would love to chat if there's questions. All right, well, hearing and seeing none, I would just once again thank everybody for your participation, and very sorry we had to call the audible to go virtual, but we had the vast majority of the folks that signed up were able to attend virtually, and so I appreciate that very much. I think we actually picked up a couple others, so a lot of good information shared today. Appreciate all of our partners being on the call and participating. And lastly, just thank you for what you do out there in your districts each and every day for conservation. There's a couple of things I really want to remind you of. Number one is on the screen. GACD is here to support you, and we're excited about being able to do that, and looking forward to some new partnerships with the commission and others. And the last thing, and Candice brought it up, and I put it in the chat, really pretty passionate about this Next Generation Leadership Institute. You've got some up and coming folks in your district that you think would benefit from that program. I am more than happy to talk about it whenever and with whoever. But that is a fantastic opportunity that NACD and the Conservation Foundation make available to supervisors around the country, and would love to have a great nominee from Georgia. So take advantage of that. And once again, thank you for your time this morning. And with that, Mr. Hughes, I think we can adjourn.